Come on. Come on.
Welcome back to Whoopsie Daisy Farm. March was the longest 3 months we've had in a long time. Okay, it felt like 3 months. It was so jam-packed.
Nat, can you bring the stick? Can you bring it?
Come on. Hello, boys. It started off a little slow and mainly involved taking care of our bottle babies, Wendell and Daisy, who needed a lot of feeding and attention.
Easy, Nat.
And feeding and attention and more feeding. In fact, that's all it felt like we did for a minute. But then March the 2nd rolled around. I went down to the barn to check the ewes that morning and found Stella, a second-year freshener, with a lamb stuck and his face super swollen. I thought for sure the lamb was dead, and it took both Kyle and I to get him out. But then he took a big breath and acted like nothing was wrong.
I can't believe he's still alive.
Stella was a bit worse for wear after the experience, but we drenched her with beer, and she perked up pretty soon afterwards. I have heard of British Shepherds drenching with beer before, but I've never tried it until now, and let me say, it definitely works. Of course, all we have in the house was St. Adam's winter larger and nothing cheap, so my sheep are definitely spoiled. Lambing season is one of our most favorite times of year, but this year seemed filled with challenges, and that's a little abnormal for us. On the flip side, I typically do a lot to prep my ewes nutritionally for lambing, which you can read all about in my book, The Guide to Homestead Dairy Sheep. But the last 2 springs, I haven't spent as much concentrated effort to do all the things I wrote about, such as putting apple cider vinegar and homeopathy in their water.
You can't take that now. That's her play spot.
Apparently not.
Oh, she's so happy.
This hasn't been an intentional choice. It's mainly been due to circumstances with Kyle's health still in boot camp repair and dealing with a toddler. It just slipped my mind.
What's she doing? Is she being goofy?
So on the one hand, it sucks that there were some major challenges that we never had to deal with before. But on the other hand, it's kind of cool to compare the lambing where I did do the prep work to the lambing where I haven't and see that, as weird as it sounds to put vinegar and homeopathy in sheep waters, it does definitely make a difference that we can tangibly see.
Meow.
Daisy, Wendell.
Hop, hop, hop. Hop, hop.
We had pulled our breeding ram Sam out of the paddock with the ewes back in February, but we had been keeping him in our old chicken and duck coop, which is in the same barn building as the ram barn, hence the name the Quacker Batch Shack. It is not super nice to throw a ram who smells like you and satisfaction in with a bunch of rams who have been deprived and bacheloring it. We have learned the hard way it's better to put the ram being reintegrated into a spot where the smells can dissipate and their old flock mates can see and hear him but not get to him. It makes integration a little smoother, as you can see here. While they are still knocking each other about, there isn't any skull-splitting ramming. This is mainly just being jostled about, and we weren't concerned about anyone getting seriously hurt. We always reintegrate breeding rams when Kyle is home, and we can closely monitor the situation just in case things get violent, as rams can and do kill each other as part of the natural selection process of keeping the best genetics in the pool. After this, we noticed that Lucky, a ram lamb from last year, was acting incredibly weak, and his FAMACHA score was abysmal, so we brought him and a buddy up to our porch for treatment. The buddy ended up being a bully, and since Wendell and Daisy were in and out, we figured that Lucky probably wouldn't get too terribly lonely. This time I didn't use chemicals, as Lucky did not show any signs of bottle jaw, just weakness and anemia. We drenched him daily with Red Cell, which is a horse supplement you can get at most feed stores, and I gave him 1 full syringe per day. We also gave him my cayenne drench, which is 1 teaspoon of cayenne in 1 tablespoon of oil and another tablespoon of vinegar. Since Lucky had lost a lot of weight, we also gave him a handful of sunflower seeds and a handful of 18% protein rabbit pellets daily, as that's what we had, and after about a week and a half he was perky and ready to rejoin the ram flock. Sue, our herd queen, was the next sheep to go into labor. She is an experienced mother and typically doesn't need assistance with lambing, but since we'd had 2 really rough births and only 1 smooth birth so far, as Sally had dropped twins the last week in February, we wanted to watch Sue and make sure she was okay.
Ready?
Huh?
Ready?
Tie this back up so we don't have straw going everywhere. I guess the big question is how we gonna get her.
We've had to assist her one other time with labor, but she's been fine ever since then. She dropped a lovely ewe lamb around 1:30 in the morning, and after watching her for a half an hour or so, we decided she was okay.
Penelope, I don't think she wants you there.
When we checked her the next morning, she had a second lamb with her, a lovely ram lamb with horn buds and a black
Did you make
nose.
2?
Sue makes the prettiest babies with lovely fleece, and I am going to have to be super careful to not keep every single one of her babies and have a ridiculously inbred flock. The next day when I went down to milk, I noticed that Salome's back end was incredibly large and distended. So I went into milk, and by the time we came out from milking, she had given birth to a beautiful ewe lamb, all by herself, very quietly. I had no idea she was in labor. So I was really happy that our lambing trend was changing from traumatic to really smooth, which is our norm. About a week and a half later, Stomps gave birth, which was the last one we had pregnant, to twins, which is abnormal for a first-timer, so I'm nervous she's going to have multiples in the future. And with that, our lambing was done.
Come on, up. Good girl.
Sheep produce colostrum for 8 to 10 days after giving birth, so I generally wait till the lambs are at least 2 weeks before I separate them overnight from their mamas. It really depends on the year if we separate them at night or during the day, depending on Kyle's schedule. I prefer to separate them at night because that means during the day the mamas can teach them what to eat. We try to keep them separated for around 12 hours. This year, again, with Kyle's changing jobs, it's been a little weird. They've been separated for more like 14 to 16 hours some days. But then I will leave the lambs on with the ewes sometimes for 24 hours just to make up. And that way the lambs can get plenty of nutrition from their mamas. I milk all the ewes out and then reunite the lambs with their mamas. And there is much rejoicing after everyone tries to trip me. All the lambs will run to their own mamas. They know who's who and what's what. And then Wendell and Daisy come and find me, and I feed them a bottle of fresh warm milk straight from the ewes. We had put 4 Gulf Coast native ewes in with a ram in the fall, but apparently none of them took. I don't know if he was firing blanks or if they just did not like him or what happened, but none of our Gulf Coast had lambs this year, which I was super disappointed about. 1, because they make super cute lambs, and number 2, they raise the cream content exponentially, which I didn't realize before now how much they raise the cream content. In the years before now, with the Gulf Coast native milk mixed with the dairy cross milk, I can just use straight milk as creamer for coffee or tea. This year, where it's just dairy cross milk, I'm getting a higher volume of milk, but I have to run the milk through a cream separator for it to taste and feel the same way in my morning beverage as it did before with the Gulf Coast native milk. So I'm getting more volume but less cream content. So I'm definitely wanting to keep the Gulf Coast native milk in my yearly milk harvest. This year I've been able to take on milking the sheep, which I wasn't able to do the last 2 years due to pregnancy or postpartum recovery. So this year Kyle just has to milk Chestnut, and the cows are mainly his responsibility.
There's all these little sheep.
Hazel, our heifer calf, is growing out beautifully, and I love her coloring. It's hard to believe she is only 6 months old. She's getting friendlier by the day, and I think she's turning out to be a rather well-trained cow. She likes the lambs, but she's also not super sure what they are.
Come on, Hazel. Come on, let's go see Mama. Come on. Come on.
It's been so nice this year to have a calf we can share Chestnut's milk with, so that when things get busy, we can just leave Hazel with Chestnut and not have to worry about milking. The last time Chestnut was in milk was when we bought her, and the farmer kept the calf, so we had to milk every single day. For us, calf sharing is what works best for right now with Kyle's job and health and schedule and the responsibilities we have. We may do it differently in the future, but right now it works best for us to have less milk and a flexible schedule and a super healthy heifer calf instead of more milk, etc. With all the sleep deprivation and drama of lambing season, I had a bit of a quail tragedy amongst all of that. I forgot to close the door to the apartment that my beautiful golden Italian Coturnix quail were housed in.
You gonna come out and say
and they flew the coop. The rooster stayed behind, but all the girls left. The breeder was no longer selling adult quail, just day-old quail chicks, as they, like all poultry in America right now, are in such high demand. So we bit the bullet and bought 13 quail chicks, and since we are homesteaders and didn't have anywhere else to brood the chicks, they went into our hall bathroom along with the goslings. Goslings, by the way, grow incredibly fast. This is what they looked like at the beginning of the month. And this is what they look like within 2 weeks. They grow so fast, like you can almost watch them grow in front of you. They're also little poop machines, so as soon as we could get them out into a chicken tractor, we did, because, oh my gosh, they made so much poop. They were really happy to get out of their little teeny tiny tote, which is the largest tote that Walmart sold. And we were happy to get them out of the tote too, because did I mention they poop a lot? And we would far prefer all that manure go onto the grass as natural fertilizer. We haven't hit our end of frost date yet, and it is still getting really cold at night, so we will bring the goslings back in and put them back in their tote into our bathroom at night, but then we bring them out first thing in the morning once it's warmed up a little bit and put them back in the tractor. And Nat really likes helping with this chore.
Bye, Gosling. There you go. Yay. Don't, Nat, we leave it. Watch. Look at it.
We did rehome one of the gander goslings to a friend who wants them for breeding, but we are thinking we're going to keep the other 3 and see if we can't start breeding them for our own goose meat, which, if you cook it right, is absolutely amazing. I cook it in a covered roaster with about a cup or 2 of water. I stuff it with apples and surround it with about a bag and a half of potatoes. And all the moisture from the fruits and vegetables and the water I add in make the best goose broth in the entire world. You get so much lard for cooking, and the meat is so succulent and tasty. Between the quail for eggs and the geese for potential meat, I think those are the poultry we're going to stick with. As you can see, the Roman geese are super friendly around kids, and while we like chickens and appreciate the few hens we have left, I don't ever worry about Nat like I did when we had our rooster. The hens we have left are super friendly, so I'm not really worried about Nat around them, and Wendell and Daisy keep our remaining chickens well in line, so that's comforting. Another big accomplishment for March was I successfully tanned the hide of the ewe we had to put down in February. It was massively harder work than I had anticipated, and it was really physically demanding. Also, Kyle and our friend Amber did a fantastic job with the skinning, and I didn't realize that, so I probably didn't need to scrape the hide as much as I did. But this was my first hide that I've ever done, so I just didn't know. The funny thing is that once I started posting on social media what I was doing, several people asked if I was going to start teaching and writing about hide tanning. I mean, I'll definitely share my minuscule experience, but guys, didn't you read first sheepskin, first time tanning? I am not anywhere near an expert on this yet. I did love the results, so that may change in the future, but for now, I am still a student of this skill set myself. I do follow a few accounts on Instagram that are known for brain tanning their hides and teach classes on it. This time around for this hide, I decided to take the easy way and use chemicals. My friends at Mountain in the Mist shared which company they use and are comfortable with, and let me tell you guys, it was super nice to have it broken down into such a simple process.
Keep thinking you're making some kind of pastry with how doughy it looks.
I know.
At some point, I would like to learn more about brain or natural tanning skills, but for right now, I feel like the True Bond company that Mountain in the Mist recommended is a good route for me to go. They do have a promo code if you're interested, so check out their website.
So it just turns into leather.
It just turns into leather. It's amazing. So impressive.
And then it's all supple. Okay.
Speaking of our friend Amber, she came to our rescue again when our butcher date arrived and we had no way to take the animals to their appointment. It was a super bittersweet day. 2 ewes no longer fit for breeding were sent along with our pigs. It's really hard to say goodbye to the animals we've worked with for so long, but the returns are awfully nice and tasty. Cured leg of lamb or roasted leg of lamb is one of our most favorite foods ever. It's so yummy. As I said, the lack of Gulf Coast native creaminess means I have to break out the cream separator about once a week if I want cream for my morning tea. I'm still playing with the settings to see how thick or thin I want the cream, and I also made sheep milk butter for the first time. It tasted like icing, and to be honest, I'll probably make a cultured butter from the sheep milk from now on. All that to say, I feel like this spring I'm definitely leveling up with the food production from our animals, making Scrabble, butter, skim milk clabber, and cottage cheese. And I finally took the plunge and I'm learning how to make hard aged and pressed cheeses from both our cow and sheep milk. This is a skim sheep's milk tome.
Ooh.
Yes.
Well, it looks, the camera doesn't do it justice. It looks wonderful. The color's wonderful.
It just brings us a whole new level of happiness to look out and see animals in our fields and then look in our refrigerator and freezers and see food that they are helping us produce. We were getting all excited that we could start putting the animals out of their winter paddocks and onto the greening grass when the weather went weird. They say March roars in like a lion and leaves like a lamb, but it didn't get that memo this month. We had some kind of eclipse, the moon was bright like the sun almost, and then the heavens opened up and we got monsoons for the last week of March.
You want to sing in the rain?
What?
Do you want to sing in the rain?
No, you're an idiot. No! You're mad. I said it while love and compassion. You are nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I tell you one more time to get out of the rain and get under cover, I'm going to lose my mind.
The rains came in so fast, hard, and heavy that there's actually been a ton of flooding. Our house is fine, but the barn lots, especially the ewe barn lot, flooded so badly that the ewes were afraid to cross the water to get into the barns. I put in some swales and that drained it enough to where they felt safe crossing it and going into the barn. It's still an absolute muddy mess and really unpleasant for everyone. The sheep, the humans, it's just very goopy. Nat absolutely loved all the water and leveled up his toddlerness to where every puddle must be jumped in and rocks are now used for splashing.
We have two.
Two?
2 rocks.
Oh.
Broke in half.
It's amazing how much joy a rock and a puddle give.
There was so much flooding in our surrounding area that Kyle had to drive way out of his way to get to work. We couldn't meet with some friends like we had planned, and the winds did damage one of our trees and broke the ram paddock fence, so we will have to fix that somehow. The pallet fence has lasted for a good 5 years though, so I definitely recommend pallet fences for anyone who's interested. I honestly felt a little bad at times because with all of the farm activity and drama going on, we sort of drop-kicked Nat out of being housebound for winter in a home that sort of revolved around caring for him to homestead boot camp where he was involved but not the center of attention or primary focus. To his credit, he simply insisted on being included in everything. It's been rather astounding to watch him try to understand and ask questions with his still limited vocabulary. He'll be 2 in May, but he is already in full farm kid mode and wants to help with feeding the animals, milking the cow, and generally doing whatever we're doing.
Come on. Come on. Come on out. There you go. There you go. Hi.
Nat, what are you eating? Are you eating grass? Are you a sheep?
Sheep.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our March 2025 in a nutshell. It was insanely busy. It was so busy. We seriously felt like it was 3 months. It was so jam-packed. So if you were wanting to hear from us or try to reach out to us and didn't hear back, now you know why. So now we're just buckling down and milking and processing the milk products and caring for lambs and in general trying to recover from March. So hopefully the April recap will be a little bit more boring for our sakes.